Hello, my name is Paul Stephenson. I'm a Senior Systems Engineer in the vCloud Air Group, recently name changed from vCloud Hybrid Service. Today what we're going to demonstrate is how easy it is to use vSphere Replication to replicate an on-premise virtual machine out to the disaster recovery service. So what we're going to start with is actually show you what the interface looks like. So initially, after you install a single virtual appliance, you end up with a plugin that's exposed in the web client. The vSphere replication is here. We're just going to click on this. And so what we're going to do today is we're actually going to replicate. So what we're going to do is, at this point, we've actually installed vSphere replication appliance. We've configured the cloud endpoint. We've also configured the test and recovery networks. This is important because if you bring up a virtual machine on, say, a production network, and you have a global server load balancing type of solution, you could start to pass health checks that could cause problems actually with your app. So we've thought about these types of things to make it very easy for you to do. So here we can see the recovery and the test networks. So this is important to you. This is part of the first initial setup before you can actually replicate a virtual machine. So what we'll assume is that we've set this up and we're ready to go. And now what we're going to do is actually select a virtual machine to replicate. Okay, so for now we can see a list of virtual machines. All we're going to do is right-click on a VM. We're going to get a new menu that's going to pop up, and it's going to say vSphere Replication, Configure vSphere Replication. So this immediately drops you into a wizard, and we have the standard vCenter endpoint as well as the cloud provider endpoint now. So we get to select which disaster recovery virtual data center we want to replicate to if we had multiple points of presence across the US. So when we go to replicate the VM, if VMs are very large, we have the ability to send a seed in. We do this using an offline data transfer process. So on the screen here, we can see we can use our standard storage policy or a seeded VM that we already shipped out to the data center. So with Windows virtual machines, we have the ability and support guest OS QSing. So the idea here is that we can use Microsoft Virtual Shadow services to make sure that the virtual machine when it recovers is able to be recovered in a recovery consistent state. So here we've selected that we're going to use this. Select next, and here's where we get to set the recovery point objective. So the RPO is the amount of data that we are willing to lose. So the idea is, I did a backup, I replicated, now I have a casualty. So the amount of data that I'm going to lose is the amount since the last backup till the disaster actually occurred. We have the ability to go down to 15 minutes for the recovery point objective, all the way up to 24 hours. So for now, I'll go ahead and leave it at the default at 4 hours. Everything inside the service presents itself with a summary screen. Here we see it. Now all we're going to do is select finish, and then we will actually start to replicate to the cloud. And we've actually established replication, and now we're replicating out to vCloud Air Disaster Recovery Service. The reason that we built this service is really around time to value. Disaster recovery is a very complex process. It's actually usually very expensive and it's complicated to set up. This system is very, very easy to set up. It's a one virtual machine install, and then once you're done, you end up with the UI and you're able to immediately start to configure. So for people who are used to using VMware today, this will be very easy and very natural for them to do.